On this episode of Carnage, we are playing catch up. Let me explain. Before we get started on today's episode, I just want to touch on what is happening on the July issue of Street Machine. This issue we are celebrating the life and cars of Rob Beecham, who passed away recently. Rob was a legendary street machiner through the 80s and 90s, influenced many street machiners through those times. And his VL and his Tirana were both street machine cover cars, awesome cars. And with his passing recently, we thought we'd commission a design that showed those cars on the cover of the magazine, and it turned out so awesome. We thought this needs to be immortalised on a t-shirt. So with the permission of Rob's family, we've come up with a t-shirt design. We are offering it on the Street Machine website as a pre-order only. All the profits go to the Leukemia Foundation, all right? So no profits go to Street Machine at all. We just thought it was a cool thing to do, and it looks awesome. It is a great design. But yeah, if you jump on the Street Machine website, link will be in the description. Jump in there. You can order a t-shirt now. We're taking pre-orders until the 31st of July. And then after that, printing them, sending them, selling them, done. No more orders. It's a limited edition thing. This is a limited time offer. So you need to get your order in before the 31st of July. Order it now. Like I said, all the profits go to the Leukemia Foundation. And yeah, if you want to be part of this and help raise some money for a good cause, jump on the website, order yours right now. So, a couple of weeks ago, we had the ute almost ready to go to MPW. I've just had a couple little things left to do before we could send it off. So I thought, let's bring out Superman, do some stuff to that. It was super easy, get it going again, and we make a video so that sort of build us a bit of a buffer around the ute videos, and give me some time to finish the ute off, get it to MPW so they can do their stuff, so we can then get it on the dyno, go racing, all that good stuff. You all want to see that happen. We want to see that happen. So it was a good plan. You know, we got the Superman video done. That was great. And I was getting ready to hook in, finish this off, and then I got the flu. Not COVID or anything like that, but just the dreaded old man flu, and it knocked me around for an entire week. I was useless for a week, just couldn't do anything. And then, so I'm back in here, and yesterday it was like the coldest it was ever been in the Carnage workshop. I swear it was like a fridge in this place. It must have been like 2 degrees. So not a lot got done yesterday either. So here we are, 2 weeks later, and the ute is still as it is. So, in this episode, we're playing catch up. We are going to get this thing done, work the list, finish it off so I can get it to MPW so they can do their stuff, and let's just get this thing done. So let's just hook into it and get it done. All right, so what do we got on the list? We have power steering lines. Okay, that shouldn't be too hard to knock over. Wire up the secondary fuel pumps. Again, not too hard to knock over. However, I need to do them before I do the seats and stuff. So yeah, got to put the seats back in. Got to get that oil pressure sensor, overflow bottle for the radiator, tidy wiring, fuel lines, handbrake cables. These are all doable things. And but yeah, I'm just going to have to just pick a thing and do it. So what's our thing? Power steering lines. Let's do that. All right, so we've got a power steering pump mounted, and then we're going to mount our canister there. So that's going to feed, that's the pump feed there. And then we've got to have the return line come off the rack, and then the feed line from the pump to the rack. These are all doable things. It's just the mount for that. So that's the bracket to mount reservoir, kind of clips in like so. So I guess let's mount our bracket. It's going to interfere with our thing, isn't it? Bloody hell. Our new power steering pump bracket is interfering with our reservoir bracket. So I might have to make up a whole new bracket to hold our reservoir, because this isn't my bracket. I can't modify it. This has to go back to someone else. Bugger! It's never easy, is it? All right, new plan. We're gonna have to send that off to our mate, Ben, and get him to weld a plate onto that, so we can then mount that onto another bracket that we're gonna have to make coming off the cylinder head here. So, I guess, let's make our bracket first and work out what we need Ben to weld on there. Step 1. I'm in danger. Pretty good. Certainly back one's better. No one's ever going to see it though. I wasn't really happy with the way the top side looked, so I went over it again. That ain't ever coming off. So we have a bracket, but I'm going to have to paint that up, make it all look pretty, and we also got to modify our other side, our reservoir. So we're going to get a plate welded on there so they can bolt from there to there, hold it in position, and then we'll make up our lines. So we'll move on to something else, and I'll take this down to our mate, get him to fix that up for us. Well, we are back in the workshop, and what can I say, but life loves to throw us curveballs. Maddie's kids got sick the other day, so he couldn't come in. So we've had a shorter filming week than we normally would have. There's a lot of people getting crook at the moment. You know, it is winter and everyone's coming down with it. So anyway, I've taken our tank off to Ben at Top G Fab, and he has welded up that as I requested. So that can now mount to that. And I can, well, I'm going to bolt that to the car first. So we've painted up our little bracket. We'll mount that to the car, mount tank to that. I've already run one of my lines. I've run the high pressure line from the steering rack. So I've put the fittings in the rack. So you need special fittings in the rack because they have, you know, like extended parts on the fittings with O-rings. So you need special fittings for those. ProFlow make them. So if you jump in the catalogue, I'll supply part numbers. ProFlow make those. So put them in the rack. So I've run the high pressure line using Teflon line to the pump, and then we're going to have a low pressure line going to the tank, and then this is the low pressure high volume feed for the pump. So that's basically how power steering works. So anyway, let's get our bracket on the car and we'll keep going. I've also made a bracket up the back here with my trans dipstick. I didn't know where to mount it because the design of the trans dipstick was that if you use the mount, the firewall mount that comes on it, all this stuff sort of overhangs the top of it, and I wasn't able to pull the dipstick out. So what I've done is I've made a little bracket here that mounts to our one side of our coil mount, and so that way I can pull out the trans dipstick tube, and so now we'll be able to fill our trans with trans fluid as well. So these are just all these little things that you've got to deal with when you're finishing off a car. Yeah, it's just time consuming. Anyway, let's get our bracket on, get our power steering on, and we can finish that side off. Right, time for our tank. Right, so our tank is mounted. We just got to do the line from the reservoir here to the pump there. That'll be pretty similar to what is the factory line. So we'll see if we can get that factory hose. And then I'm going to run another line from here down to the rack. So that's the low pressure return side of the steering rack. But yeah, that's come up all right. You know, it's not super, like it's located, it's positive, it's not going anywhere. It's certainly more positive than the factory power steering tank is. So I think that's job well done. So just do those lines and we're good to go on the power steering side. But certainly something else I can tick off the list. Power steering reservoir. So what else did I tick off the list yesterday? Oil pressure sensor. So we have an oil pressure sensor, went down to Crow Cams and bought a new sensor. They carry all the LS sensors, actually carry a lot of LS parts, would you believe, not just cams and lifters. So anyway, I've got a brand new oil pressure sensor in there. Is that going to be the solution to our problem? I don't know. I don't know if it was a data problem or a sensor problem, but we know it has oil pressure, so there is a brand new sensor in there. Chances are the sensor will be fine. If it's still reading 0 oil pressure, then we know it's something in the ECU that we need to reconfigure, and we'll let Adam deal with that. He is the expert in those things. What else did we deal with? There was something else. Oh, new radiator cap, stuff like that. But yeah, the list is shrinking. All right, power steering lines. Let's do that. And now we're going to make up the power steering line using our ProFlow lines and fittings. So Teflon line. Now this one's a low pressure line. I mean, I've already made the high pressure line, and obviously the Teflon's a good idea for that. The low pressure side doesn't need to be Teflon, but just for the sake of consistency, we're going to go that way. All right. Pull our fitting apart. Slide our end over the hose. Get a little ferrule over there. And then we'll seat it. Fitting in the vise. Bit of silicone spray for some lube. All right, that's one end. feed this along the other one. It's kind of tight up in here. That's all right. I'll make it happen. Okay, so we're going to feed this line up in here. It's nice and fun. Sort of got to come up and around the power steering pump. But you've got to be careful not to kink the Teflon line either. Right angle fitting. They're about equal. So they're side by side. I hope that's right because I haven't got enough length to make another one. All right, one power steering line. Let's get it in the car. Cool. Put a little link on them to hold them together, but yeah, cool. Right, tighten the bottom and then do our little links, and I think for the time being that is the last line or fitting we need to do. Oh my God, it's been a process, I've got to say, but we got there in the end. Right, so we've got the power steering lines all done except for, you know, that reservoir feed line which we've got on order. So I think next we need to get the exhaust into the car because the car will need the exhaust over at Adams. I also got to do the driver's seat, put that in. I'm going to leave the passenger seat out for the moment because we may need to do extra wiring and access to the Haltech and all that sort of stuff. So we'll leave the passenger seat out for the moment, do the driver's seat and do the exhaust. So I'm going to need Maddie's help to put the exhaust up in there. So yes. Let's go do that. Now, can you kick that back? Yeah, about there. Okay, exhaust is in. Bugger. I think our exhaust rubs against the drive shaft. Well, the big knuckle behind the center bearing, I reckon it's hitting on that. So we might have to make some mods to our exhaust. Oh well, them's the brakes. All right, let's whack this driver's seat in so at least it's somewhat complete. Come with daddy. think I've got to do that one first, actually. I really like hoists. Okay, I think we're done. Let's roll it outside and take some photos. All right. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to call the tow truck, get this thing picked up. In the meantime though, we're gonna roll it outside, take some thumbnail pics and get this episode online. It's getting late in the day. So anyway, we'll get this over to MPW and next week the boys can weld wastegates and stuff onto it and we can fix our exhaust clearance issues and all that sort of stuff. Get it ready basically for some dyno in the next couple of weeks. But obviously you're going to see all that on future episodes of Carnage.